A gay pride parade in Serbia has been cancelled because authorities say they can't guarantee participants' safety. The march, scheduled to be held tomorrow in Belgrade, was to be the first since 2001. That year, the parade ended in violence when participants were attacked by football hooligans. Some groups threatened to do the same this time. Well, joining us now is the film director and journalist Mathew Charles. He's just made a film about the increase in homophobic attacks across Europe. Welcome, thanks for coming in. Just tell us a bit about the background to this and what life is like for gay people in Serbia.
Well, the gay community in Serbia is persecuted on a daily basis. Media reports are inflammatory. Anyone that identifies as openly gay receives threats. There are violent attacks every week in Serbia, and these aren't counted by the officials, and the perpetrators escape with impunity. And this is a country where the Serbian Medical Society still refers to homosexuality as a psychological disorder in its textbooks of medicine. It was only last year that it admitted in a letter that this wasn't the case, but the textbooks still say that it is a psychological disorder. But I think we've got a clip of the film that we can listen to that explains just how violent life can be in Serbia for the gay community.
I had beer bottles, and they use it as a weapon. I lost my teeth, and they have cut my lips. I have the bruises, and it was very painful. One of them hit me on the head, and I fall down, and they kicked me in the mouth.
Yeah, pretty harsh stuff. And these kind of attacks are increasing. Why is that?
In Serbia, I think, and in other countries like Serbia across Eastern Europe, there's been an increase in nationalism, and religion has become a significant force. I interviewed members of the far-right groups in Serbia, the leaders of two of the biggest groups there. And they told me that homosexuality is a threat to national security. That is really how they see this, and that's how it's portrayed in the media as well. So even people on the street think that being gay is a threat to the very existence of Serbia.
And is there anything being done to sort of counter this belief?
In Serbia, no.
Nothing?
Nothing. There's work of the activists there, of course, but they have very little funding. They have very little support, if any support, from the government. The Pride that was supposed to be held tomorrow, that is the first time since 2001. The groups that I mentioned before threatened violence and probably would have carried out that violence. But the government has done that to please officials in the kind of corridors of the European Union, if you like, with the carrot of European Union membership being dangled at them.
Now, you made a film about the treatment of homosexuality across Europe. Just tell us a bit more. We've seen your clip, obviously, but just tell us a bit more about that film and the reaction to it.
Well, the film is touring festivals at the moment, but what the film really tackles is that in terms of European Union legislation, sexuality is not classed in the same light as race or gender. And in the 21st century, I find that astonishing, quite frankly, especially when there are countries like Latvia, Lithuania, who are in the EU. Serbia isn't, but these are two countries that are. I was in Latvia earlier this year for Baltic Pride, where the film was shown, and the government there tried to stop the Pride from being held. The ban was overturned because it was against the Latvian constitution. But at that time, not one other European country stood up and said, hang on a minute, you can't do that. Now, the EU has proposed new legislation that would bring sexuality into the same line as race and gender, but it needs the support of all 27 EU member states. And with members like Lithuania and Latvia, that is just not going to happen. And no other country, no Western country, Britain, France, nobody is stepping up and saying, we have to make this directive work.
And you had some personal feedback, didn't you, on your film?
Yeah, since the film has been publicised, I have received death threats in email, and the film has a Facebook group as well, which was hacked, and Death to Gays was written in Serb across the Facebook.
Were you surprised by that, given the research and given the filming that you did in those countries?
I wasn't surprised at all, no. Anybody that's involved in campaigning or gay rights activism in Serbia receives such threats on a daily basis, so I wasn't surprised at all.
Okay. Thanks very much indeed for coming in to talk to us about that. Thank you. Let's catch up with the weather now. John Hammond has the details.
Hello, it's been a pleasantly warm start to the weekend, but the warmth in southeast England